so the background on what had happened when the Zetland Park regeneration project started, the rose garden was in really bad disrepair. Most of the roses were dead, and the area was very, very badly flooded. And from having been historically a very beautiful space, I guess revenue budgets just over the years had been removed, withdrawn from parks, and there hadn't been the money or the staff to look after them. So we came, and it was extremely flooded, and with volunteers, we started to weed some of the beds and save some of the roses. But it became clear that the scale of the problem in terms of the flooding was just really too much for us, because you had a few different factors. You had the clay, the heavy clay soil of Grangemouth, you have a very high water table, and just generally the historic drainage had failed. So we got money from Central Scotland Green Network Trust, I think, CSG&T at the time, who may have changed their name now, for their 10,000 rain gardens project, and we were one of the model projects for it. And it just kind of consisted of a lot of heavy engineering work, so a lot of earth-moving equipment and diggers and stuff were brought in, and this area here was dug, which is the swale. And I don't know how many hundreds of tons of gravel were put in. And the idea is just that when it floods, when it rains heavily, that this fills up and is a water feature, but equally when in dry periods it can just drain away. And the whole space was also reprofiled, so this is the lowest point, and all of the runoff comes into this area, so that no other parts of the garden are flooding.
So do you think that this measure is very useful against, you know, the climate change and the amount of rainfall that's fallen, and the ability for the area to deal with it?
Definitely, yeah. I think that you're right to identify that, because we are obviously projected to get a lot wetter in Scotland, and so if there are sustainable urban drainage solutions, then that's going to be to everybody's benefit. But what's particularly nice about the rain garden is that our landscape architects, who were a company called Igloo, are obviously very skilled at choosing the right plants, and so this is a very beautiful place as well. Right now it's not looking as beautiful as it might, because we're just in that period where they've chopped everything down, but you know, you'll have lots and lots of photographs on record of what a fantastic amenity it is as well, both when it's full of water and also when it's empty. So it's prevented the flooding in this area, but in a beautiful way. So it's not just like, you know, culverts or big pipes and stuff taking the water away.
Yeah. So what sort of barriers, apart from the obvious heavy digging and things, did you come across?
Oh, well, there was an interesting, that's a really good question, because as you say, historically it was a really stunning rose garden, and everyone knew it as the rose garden. So when we came on board with our very, very dedicated group of volunteers from the Friends of Zetland Park, and also the Rose Garden Action Group, there was a lot of consternation about how it would look different in the future, and is it still going to be a rose garden? So we worked with the consultants on that, and we tried to reassure people that yes, that the roses would still be a major, major part of the design. And so behind us is the rose hedge, which, if I'm honest, isn't looking as healthy as it might do. I think that it just maybe needs a bit more chicken poo on it, a bit more fertilizer and stuff, but it's been very carefully weeded and tended, and we hope that that would really bulk out and be a very fragrant rose hedge. And you know, it's only a couple of years old, so it may do, but there's also a lot of roses interplanted in the other beds. So I think that was a problem, a kind of a problem that we had with the volunteers, just anxiety, because there's such a sense of ownership and love for this space. So that would be one thing, and I think the way that we got over that was just by gaining trust. So the consultants at Igloo came and met with the group and heard their concerns and took them in. Other than that, it was very expensive, I'm not going to lie, very expensive. So the funding obviously was coming from external funding, but and we might just need to track down Alana to get some figures on that, but I think it would have been 50 grand or something like that, you know, some very, very because of the heavy engineering. But other than that, I would say I don't think there were barriers. I think there was a terrific response from the community once everybody understood what we were trying to do.
So in terms of from the very start, from conception stage, all the way through to completion, I hear that there's been awards.
Yeah.
Would you like to just expand a little on these awards?
Oh gosh. We got I think some Green Flag awards. We got we got a COSLA award. We got lots of awards, and I'm embarrassed to say that I can't actually remember what they all were. But afterwards I can let you know. Keep Scotland Beautiful award. That's right. And I think there were some other awards that the funders also got in different categories and stuff. So yeah, it's multi-award winning.
Multi-award winning. That's what I was going. Yeah, very good. And if you were to do it differently, and you had £1 million, would there be anything you would do differently if you had £1 million?
No, I don't think so. You could just make it bigger. I think that for what it is, I think it's perfect. Actually, I really do. And what it depends on very much is an extremely dedicated group of volunteers still, because as we were starting to talk in the beginning of this about revenue cuts, that situation has only got worse, in the last 4 or 5 years. So what you see here, the council does is the council keeps the grass done, keeps the grass cut. But everything else in terms of maintenance is actually done by the volunteers. Now, the way that the planting was designed by Igloo, it was designed to all kind of knit together, and so that there wouldn't be too much open ground for weeds to get into. And that hasn't completely been established yet, but you can see it is weeded. I think the group still comes every week on a Wednesday, and they have a lot of activity on social media. They get a lot of support from the crowds, from the public, and they also mulch, which is obviously a really important against to keep the weeds down.
Would you class this as a legacy for the town?
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly popular, and we always, because I was still running the volunteer group for a while before my post ended, and the hugely positive feedback that we get from people walking past. And then actually, when you look at what it came from, when it was derelict, it's a complete transformation. It's a miracle. It's very, very popular in all of the surveys that were done, as well as the pump track, which is obviously a huge success as well. The Rose Garden is tremendously popular and loved. So
just to finish off this short interview, if you use 5 words to describe the Rose Garden, what would they be?
Okay, they would be fragrant, colourful, interesting, biodiverse, and innovative.
Thank you.
Okay, is that